Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be installing Git. This will allow us to communicate to GitHub. So the first thing you want to do is go to Git, download for Windows. Click here to download the latest version. Once it's done downloading, go ahead and open this. And even though we're downloading Git, this will allow us to communicate to GitHub. Let's go ahead and select the options on screen. And just like this, we can hit next, next. Let's go ahead and select the default. Alright, for this option, I like to let Git decide. Usually that just means anytime I open up a new branch, I should automatically be in master, which is what I want. Here, let's go ahead and select the recommended path. Here, let's use the OpenSSL library. And let's go ahead and select the first option and hit next. Here, instead of using Menti, let's use Windows default console window. Anytime you pull, you want to fast forward or merge, preferably merge. And here we can select none. Let's not use a credential helper. We can do everything from the terminal. And then enable system caching, and let's hit install. And these settings are recommended for anyone in school or just working on personal projects or even advanced personal projects as well. This is Git. Great. Now we've installed Git. We can go ahead and start using it now. So if we open up our terminal, we can start making projects. So for example, if we want to go to GitHub and we want to use this GitHub repository, we can go ahead and click on clone. Go over here, we can just go to our desktop first. Once in our desktop, we can make a brand new folder called mkdir. We can call this music AI. And if we see in our terminal, we don't have shit. Great, so now that we installed Git, we can go ahead and clone a GitHub repo. So let's go to harmonai.org and let's clone this GitHub repository. Next, let's go to our terminal. Let's navigate to our desktop. Here, let's make a brand new file called mkdir, and let's call it YouTube. This will do is create us a brand new folder. If we go inside that folder, it will now be inside our folder, and if we type in git clone the repository repo, now we should be able to clone that repo into our project. And now inside our YouTube folder, we now have all the contents of the GitHub in our folder, which is great. Now what we can do is we can also create a brand new repository. However, we will need GitHub for that. So let's go to GitHub. Here, let's go to sign up. So now let's enter our mail. Let's create a password. Let's create a username. Let's copy and paste our code. And now we should be able to sign in. I'd say I'm other. Let's use the free version. I didn't even know that there was a paid version. It must have GitHub Copilot.ai. Now we can create a brand new repository. Here we can call this my Git repo 00. We can have it public, add a README file to it, licensing, add one if you need be. So now we can create a repository. So now this lives on the internet. In order for us to start adding to it and add code to this, we don't drag files into GitHub. Instead, what we do is we go to our terminal and we can navigate to our desktop again. We can create a brand new file called my GitHub. And so we can navigate to my GitHub. And once here, we can type in git clone the repo file that it's called, hit enter. And now that we've done that, we can see here we have now my Git repo. If we go into my Git repo 00, now that we're here, we should have nothing but the README file. We can open up the README file. However, it will just state this, my Git repo, that's here in the back. So let's go ahead and add a brand new file to this. So what we can do is we can open up Spider or whatever IDE you're using. and you want to save this file exactly where our folder is. So let's go ahead and hit save as. As mentioned, it was in our desktop. So if we go to once here, if we go to our specified location, which is our desktop, and we go to my GitHub, we'll go to my GitHub repo 00, and we type in the new file name. Since it's a Python file, we can just call it main.py, and we can run it. Hello YouTube, and GitHub is now installed. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and save it. We can close this. If we open up our folder again, now we have this new file called main. However, if we refresh this, our folder's still not here. So what we want to do is we want to pull and commit and add our new code. So here we can say, go ahead and git add main.py. What this does is this stages our code. Now that our code is in green, ready to be committed. Give it a little message. Hey, almost done here. Just adding my main file. Great, so now that it's asking us to log in, which is normal for the first time, which is why I want to do this on camera. So next thing we're going to want to do is tell them who we are. So we're going to go ahead and copy and paste who we are. Let's go ahead and just type it in instead. So we can type in git config -- global user.email, and we can add in our email. Next thing we want to do is hit git config. Asking us for our name. Go ahead and hit enter, and now we should be good to go. Once we've done that, after this, it will never ask us to log in again. So make sure you're set on which profile you're going to complete. After this, it should be good to go. So again, if we check our status, we have our file added to the staging process. Now let's go ahead and commit. I don't think we ever hit commit, so let's do git commit. Just adding one file and adding GitHub credentials. Next thing, if we hit done, if we check our status, we'll see we have nothing staged, but we still need to push. Don't forget to push. That is the last item. If we do not push, it is committed, so it will save the time when it was committed, which was probably 5:16 or 17. However, if I wait till 5:18 to push, you'll see that that's when the code will appear here. Once it appears, it'll still have that time input of 5:16 or 5:17 whenever we committed. So if you ever want to turn in something to your teacher, just let them know, hey, my last commit was at 11:59:58, right before 11:59. And that'll be proof saying that, hey, at that exact moment in time, you committed your code and staged it and all. However, you just forgot to push. Typical common mistake for a beginner, but once you begin, you won't forget to do this. So we'll wait till the top of the minute, 5:18, and once that happens, we'll hit git push, and we can check out the time, 5:18. So now that we hit push, it's checking for my credentials that I added. It's asking me for my username, my password, which again, it will never do again. So let's enter our username one more time. Let's add our email instead for username, and then password. We'll just input our password. Oh. It's asking for our username. It's asking for the password. However, it's not correct. Okay, let's try one more time. Let's hit get push. It's asking us for our username and our password. Let's go ahead and hit get push. Let's add our email. Let's add our newly changed password.
So you want to save your username and password inside Git so that when
So now to push, it is going to ask us for our username, so we can go ahead and enter our username here. Next, it's going to ask for our password. So GitHub doesn't use the passwords anymore. So for this, we're going to need to go to our settings. At the very bottom on the left, click on developer settings. Next, what we're going to want to do is click on tokens classic, generate a brand new token classic. Expiration, you can put no expiration, no note. For the scopes, you can select all of these at the main tab. Except for that one. And we can hit generate token. Oh, note, we can just call this December 2024. We can hit generate token. And now that we have our token, we can just hit copy. And instead of our password, we can just go ahead and right click. And what right click does, it pastes our code in terminal. And if we hit enter, now we can see that this is complete. So as mentioned, if we go back to our repo, 518 is when we pushed. However, we committed at 516 or 517. So if we go to our repo, we'll see our new file. This was done 11 minutes ago at 516. However, it did not show up until 518 when we pushed. And that is it. Now we have Git running on our computer successfully, and we'll never have to sign in again. Thank you.